So at the end of the day, when we had to face this, other governors chose other things. We made very clear in Florida, we choose freedom over Fauciism. Do you think Fauci should be fired or what? And we're going to continue to lead the way. Another place we've led the way is on the issue of education. And part of that has to do with what we did during COVID. You know, they were locking kids out of school for a year or more in many parts of this country. And we said that that's unacceptable. We were the first big state to say all schools must be open in the state of Florida way back in 2020. Oh my gosh, we were attacked for that by the corporate press, by the left. I even got sued. I got sued to try to close the schools, and we won that suit and whatnot. But they were not following science, the people that opposed us. They were doing a political agenda, and that's what they wanted to do. So we made sure kids were in school, and now we have the first results of testing from the nation's report card since COVID, and a lot of states did very poorly. Florida, we were, for fourth grade reading and fourth grade math, we were number 3 and number 4 in the country, respectively, in those two subjects. And if you adjust for demographics, we're actually number 1 in the country in both. And so it just shows you got to have kids in school. You got to have, we do a lot of work on early learning and stuff. It's important. But just think what's going to happen in those other states. They've only scratched the surface of the problems that their societies are going to have. Because you had a lot of kids that are totally off the radar now, just dropped out of school entirely. It's going to be a total disaster. So we were right on the schools. And our opponents were wrong. And we can't let them forget it. And the people that opposed us need to face consequences at the ballot box here and across the country on November 8th. That's right. Another thing that we've done is say very clearly that the purpose of our school system is educating kids, not indoctrinating kids. And we're going to make sure that we stand up for sound education. We believe in the Parents' Bill of Rights, which I signed into law. Parents have a fundamental role in the education and upbringing of their kids. The schools are important. School districts, charter schools, all these things are very important, serve a vital function, but they do not supersede the rights of the parents to raise their kids. And we've been very strong on that. We've made sure parents have the right for curriculum transparency so that they know what's being taught in their kids' schools. And we've also fought back against ideology being injected into schools by doing things like banning critical race theory in our K through 12 schools. We're not teaching kids to hate this country or to hate each other. No, we're going to treat people as individuals. We're going to judge them on the content of their character. We're not going to divvy them up on the basis of race. And we are going to make sure that everybody understands the founding principles of our country, American civics, the U.S. Constitution, and what it means to be an American. We're also going to make sure they know how lucky they are by teaching kids how other societies have gone. So I've signed legislation so that every November 7th is a day for the state of Florida to reflect on, but our school children to learn about in school about the victims of communist regimes throughout history. 100 million dead from Marxism, Leninism. We're going to make sure we tell the truth about that so that they understand that. We also believe the importance of education. We also believe what's taught in the classroom needs to be appropriate for the kids. And my wife and I, we have a 5, a 4, and a 2-year-old at home. And I think back when I was a kid, and I don't know that it was ever easy raising kids, but it just seems like there's a lot more influences now than there may have been decades ago. And so, we were very sympathetic with parents who've raised concerns about some of the things that's going on. And oh, by the way, don't we have a great First Lady of Florida? I mean, she's done a great job. She's done a great job. And yeah, that's right. So she, with the hurricane, before it even made landfall, she had already created a Florida disaster fund to do relief for storm victims, and she's now raised over $54 million for storm victims. So it's incredible. So, her and I, we are very sympathetic with parents, and it's like, okay, in Florida, I think it should be true everywhere, but in Florida, we just want to make sure, as a parent, you should be able to send your kid to elementary school without having some sexual agenda shoved down their throat. It's inappropriate to be sexualizing young kids. It's wrong to teach a kid that their gender is a choice. It's wrong to tell somebody that they were born in the wrong body. So we did a piece of legislation called Parents' Rights in Education that basically said, for at least particularly for these elementary, you should learn to read, write, add, subtract, learn the basics. Let's not inject this other stuff into the curriculum. And I think most people believe that's common sense. It would not have been anything we even talked about before. But, the left had a spasm over the bill. The media had a spasm over the bill. And, the left, I do got to give them credit because they were smart on how they did it. They know running for office on the idea that, yes, what third graders in Florida need is gender ideology in their classroom. They don't believe, they know voters won't go for that. It's just totally inappropriate. And so they didn't think that they could win it politically in the electoral context. So what they thought they could do is if they could corral a bunch of woke companies to put pressure on me and others, maybe that would be enough to kind of capsize the whole effort. And so they reeled in the granddaddy of them all, company based in Burbank, California, that you may have heard of, in Central Florida, and they got Disney to come out, not just to oppose it, demagogue it, get involved in kind of everything the left was saying that wasn't true, but that's beside the point. They were against the bill. And I think it was a smart strategy because if you think about it, since the 1960s in the state of Florida, anything that Disney has wanted, Disney has got. Until now. They thought we would back down, but they thought wrong. We stood strong, we signed the bill, and we were right to do it. Now, after we signed the bill, Disney said, well, we're going to actually work to repeal Parents' Rights in Education, sue on it, do all this other stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, you have a right as a company to do all this stuff. I guess I don't think it's good for the shareholders, but fine. But you don't have a right to have the state of Florida subsidize this activism. And they've been put on a pedestal in the state. They have their own government they control in Central Florida, special privilege. They're exempt from laws their competitors have to follow, and they get major tax breaks. And so what we said is, sexualizing young kids is wrong. It is not consistent with Florida values. You're free to hold that, but we are not going to put you on a pedestal for that. And so we made sure to work with the legislature, and because we did, Disney's no longer going to have its own government in Central Florida. They're going to live under the same laws as everybody else, and they're going to pay their fair share of taxes in the state of Florida. But a lot of what we're dealing with in these problems in our country and that Florida is successfully pushing back on is an outgrowth of the woke ideology. I call it the woke mind virus, letting criminals out, not prosecuting people, printing $5 trillion. All this stuff comes out of that mindset. And we see it too with the gender theory in these elementary school grades. We also saw it with legislation I signed in 2021 protecting women's sports to make sure that women could compete fairly and with integrity. I mean, how is it fair to compete on the men's swim team for 3 years and then switch to the women's team and you win the national championship in swimming? And, that took away a glory championship from somebody, the second place finisher who trained. All these other women athletes trained. They wanted to do well, and they were not given a level playing field to compete. So it was wrong, but the fact that we're even seeing this happen just shows you how out of whack some of this stuff is. And sadly, it's even worse than that, and we just had to deal with this in Florida. You've seen a major increase over the last few years in physicians giving to minors puberty blockers and performing sex change operations. It's happening. It's totally wrong. And so it's not based on medical science because there's no evidence that this is the right thing to do. And in fact, European countries started doing this, experimenting with it, and they've reversed course because they saw how bad it was. We have some young adults who are helping Florida with our policy to stop it, and they went through this when they were teenagers, and they regret it, and they've been harmed by it. So you can't get a tattoo at age 15 in the state of Florida, but yet you could go and they have a double mastectomy. They have surgeries on people's pride. It's really, really wrong, and it's permanently disfiguring people. You know, teenagers go through a lot. It's not an easy time growing up, but what they found is the dysphoria that kids could have, over 80% of it resolves itself by the time they are adults. So why are you performing irreversible surgeries? Some of them are making money off of it. That's one of the reasons. So we worked with the Board of Medicine in Florida, and they have now issued a rule. No, for minors, no puberty blockers, no sex change operations, and if physicians do it, they will lose their medical license in the state of Florida. But I think the thing that we have to realize, and I think a lot of us do, but woke ideology, yes, it's a threat if you elect people who have that. We've seen the district attorneys. We've seen other people get elected mayor in different places, and it's bad, but it's not limited to just electoral politics. You are seeing it in medicine. You're seeing it in universities. You're seeing it in corporate America more than ever. You're seeing it in big tech with their censorship policies. You know, the woke left is apoplectic that Elon Musk has Twitter now because they're worried that Musk is going to open it up, and hopefully he does that. And so that's what you see. So this is something that you have to confront across the board. It's not just about one election campaign, and the threats to freedom from this ideology are ever present in our society. And I just think it's an important fight because if everything gets infected by wokeness, this country will be destroyed if that happens. So we in the state of Florida have done more to stand up than anybody else in this country. We have fought the woke in schools. We have fought the woke in corporations. And yes, we fought the woke in medical practices. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. The state of Florida is where woke goes to die. So we've just got a few more days left for the campaign. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. Look, at the end of the day, the good thing about these campaigns and a guy like me who's now had the pleasure to serve is I came into office. I told you I'd do a bunch of things. And not only have I delivered, I've delivered more than what I promised. We said we'd continue to have a low-tax environment and build jobs and businesses, and we delivered. We said that we would continue to have Florida be a law and order state, and we've delivered. We said we would take care and improve our water quality and natural resources. We have delivered. We said we would work to improve education, support teachers, support parents, and we have delivered. Promises were made, and promises have been kept, and we've got the receipts to prove it. And we look forward to doing even more going forward. We're going to do a number of things. We're going to do more for education, teachers. We're going to do even more for you guys. We're going to do more for choice. We're going to do more for civics education, workforce education. You know, when I became governor, we were producing about 800 truck drivers a year. Now we got it up to 3,500 because of our workforce program. So we're really excited about all that. One of the things we want to do, though, I want to help people because the Biden inflation is real. Our little $110 billion budget, that's budget dust for what these guys in Washington are doing. So we obviously don't control the inflation in Florida, but we want to figure out what we can do to take some burdens off. And we understand families have a lot of expenses. And so we're going to build off tax relief we did this year, where we made some of the baby items tax-free for the year. And we're going to say all baby items, diapers, wipes, baby clothes, cribs, strollers, permanently tax-free in the state of Florida. Get to raise kids without paying taxes for your babies. And because we know families include the kids but are not limited to that, we're also going to do no sales tax on pet food for people. And, you know, this is a different problem in different parts of the state depending on how the roads work. But we are going to do, for all of our commuters, we're going to reduce tolls by 50% for next year. Going to end up doing the biggest tax relief package in the history of the state of Florida, and we'll get that done. And, you know, the thing, too, is you never know what comes down the pike. And 4 years ago, we didn't know what was going to come down the pike. No one knew that there would be COVID or a pandemic. But even if someone would have told you that, you would never have thought, I would never have thought, that some governors would lock kids out of school for a year, that they would have churches closed but have liquor stores and strip clubs open. We saw a massive assault on our freedoms across this country. And every other place where freedom was withering on the vine, Florida had to stand up and hold the line for liberty, and that's what we did. And you don't know what's coming down the pike, but you need somebody in the office of governor, not just that you agree with. Obviously, you want someone that sees the policies right, but honestly, when you're going against Biden and these guys, just do the opposite of what he's doing. You're probably going to be okay. At a minimum, going against a woke agenda, all you need is common sense. It's really not that difficult. But what you need someone who can exercise leadership. And when I became governor, I said, I am not doing a single poll. And I have not taken a poll since I've been governor. I'm not putting my finger in the wind, trying to bend myself and contort myself to fit whatever sudden breeze of passion may be out there. No, I knew where true north was. We had our rudder set to that, and the seas can be choppy, and it can be windy, and the elements can be bad, but you continue going to true north, and that's exactly what we have done, and that's the type of leader that you'll continue to have with me as long as I am in this office. So can you help me out on Tuesday? Can you help us elect more Republicans to the U.S. Congress and fire Pelosi once and for all? Can you help us elect more to the state legislature so we get super majorities? And will you make sure that you keep me around so we can keep Florida free? Thank you. Thanks so much. God bless you, St. Lucie. We love you. What is this?